Welcome to Classic Comic Reviews. Today we're going to be talking about the Batman Year 1 4-issue series. Now, this one is a very big deal when it comes to Batman mythology. What had happened is in the early 80s, there were so many Batman stories, so many different takes on the origin of Batman that it and different DC superheroes that there was a Crisis storyline, Crisis of Infinite Earths, and after that, basically to sum it up, they needed a restart for these characters. And since then, DC has pulled this stunt. I'll call it a stunt, but they have pulled it several times, but not to the effect that, and not only to the effect, but to the success that they did in the 80s. And with Year 1, Frank Miller came up with a great origin story, which he took some elements that had been from the past origins and had some also unique ideas that were darker for the character, but also really appealed to fans that were new to the character and fans that had loved the character for a long time. And elements that you've seen in movies, like the Christopher Nolan trilogy and things like that. They really grabbed heavily from these four books. Now, I don't think with this one I have to so much talk about page by page on these. I feel like most of you probably know this story, but just to sum it up, Bruce Wayne has been gone. His parents were murdered. When he was young. He's been gone. He's been training. He comes back to Gotham to clean it up. But this is mainly, even though this Bruce Wayne storyline is happening, this is mainly a Commissioner Gordon story, and it's about him coming to Gotham City and him seeing what's going on in the police force. What he's going to have to deal with there, what lines are being crossed, and how he deals with that himself, how he's going to have to decide what kind of policeman am I going to be, what is my line, and who will I align myself with in order to get the job done in Gotham City, because he sees it very quickly that Gotham City is in trouble, and everyone that is supposed to be taking care of the city and everyone that is supposed to be on the good side is not, and it's just him. He's the only one that's not taking any cream, as they might say. And when Batman comes along, he realizes that he does have an ally. And but you see that he's also a man with faults of his own. So a very human story here, and a very good story. A little personal history of me in this book. This was the time frame. This was a little before the time I got into Batman. I got into Batman with the Michael Keaton movie, 1989. And I was full on into the books. I wish I could remember the exact. I believe it's 608. I'll know one of these episodes will be about, hey, this is my very first comic book. But it had a Narky on the cover. But that's when I got into it with a detective book. But this was before that. But this is the time frame where it's like, okay, this is when I'm getting into it. This is what I like about it. These are the artists I like. I like Norm Brayfogle. I like Jim Aparo. These are the writers I like, Denny O'Neil, such and such. And I loved the writing in this, but I could not get into the art for some reason. And I remember I had bought a hardcover, and there's no telling, how sought after it is because I'm sure it was limited edition. But I got a hardcover Frank Miller set, and it had this and Dark Knight Returns in it, and I had no concept of what the Dark Knight Returns was. I had not even heard of it when I found it because it was early on in my comic book collecting, and I read it and I could not make sense of what it was because it wasn't with the Batman I was reading at the time, which is actually some of these issues that I've done on this so far, where Jason Todd's in it and things like that. Because to me, it was all linear. I hadn't read anything in the past and I hadn't read anything after, so I was just trying to find my way through what is Batman and what is Batman to me, and I just did not understand Dark Knight Returns yet, and I really didn't like Miller's style just yet. It was a grower for me. So at the time, this wasn't for me, but now, of course, this is one of my favorites. My only critique of year one is Catwoman. I don't like Catwoman in this, how she I just don't like her origin with this and how she finds out about Batman and things like that. And I actually like in Rebirth when her and Batman get engaged and they keep going back and forth about, oh, it was on the roof, or it was in the alley, it was on the boat. They're kind of going through all the different times that they first met, and one of the things they're referring to is in these comic books, but they don't pin it down. They don't say, oh, this is specifically when it was. And I like that because you as a reader, you as a Batman fan can go, oh, this is their origin. This is Batman and Catwoman's origin. This is when they, and you can take that as you want. But so that's a thing that's up to you as a reader. There's so much minutia and there's so much Batman that you can take what you want as the definitive Batman timeline, and you can leave what you don't like. For me, I like the year one, and I like it enough to where it's a fine origin. There were things over the years that I liked when I started out, like the Untold Legend of Batman, where he kind of went through how Two-Face came about and how he started out as Batman and his dad wore the Bat costume and things like that. I like that stuff a lot, but when you get more interesting stories like this, and after this, The Long Halloween with Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale, then stories like that are good for their time, but they're just not as good as this. They don't keep you as entertained, and they don't keep you as involved. And this is the kind of stuff that I like, where you're with it and you're following the characters, and the characters are so colorful, and you remember them. You're still thinking about them after you finish the story, and maybe you're sitting there and you're going, oh, I wonder whatever happened to so and so, and that's good writing. And there's a lot of scene cutting and mood setting and stuff that you don't forget with this one. And I actually think that the animated film was really good and very, very true. One of the few times the DC animated films, along with Dark Knight Returns, were very true to the books, and I truly appreciate that. I believe this scene right here that's up on the screen was perfect with the Batman catching Jim Gordon's baby. Right here, this is where I remember getting into Batman with the Max Allan Collins and the Jason Todd storyline beginning, things like that. And then I remember this ad was on so many comic books with these ugly balls. Just ridiculous. I don't believe I ever owned an ugly ball, but I sure did see so many of those ads. It's just crazy. But that's Batman Year One. Still a classic. That was all 4 issues, and of course I have the trade too, but I thought I'd get the issues out. Anyway, classic comic reviews. Thanks so much for watching.